spots for, there are plenty of them, aren't there, around this circuit. This one, probably one of the best we've ever seen. 2 years ago into the Terima, let's Fargo on the inside, Binder and Miller for a fighting four. So nearly 4 weeks since our last MotoGP race action. Racing was in front of 80,000 stunning trips, Italian fans in the Tuscany mountains of Mugello. It was Paco Bagnaia who completed his first double win of the season. As an Airbus GE, his teammate on the factory Ducati produced a stunning late charge, picking up Marc Marquez, picking up Jorge Martin in the very last corner. A first factory Ducati 1-2 in over 3 years. As Paco Bagnaia, a kiss tribute to Gene Simmons, probably did rock all night, didn't he, on Sunday night in Mugello?
MotoGP, guys.
With 18 points of world champion leader Jorge Martin coming into this round 8.
George Martin akan dikontrak Aprilia setelah ayah hengkang dari Ducati karena diisi oleh Marc Marquez.
Track temperature nudging towards 50 degrees. I mean, look at some super action on Super Saturday here today in Assen.
Sekarang berada di sirkuit Belanda, guys. Live. Balik.
He was in sparkling, electrifying form in Q2 this morning. It was all went all the way down the wire. Bagnaia's record-breaking 130.504, which was nearly a second inside the 2023 pole record. Jorge Martin got mighty close. The Spanish rider, of course, factory pretty bound in 2025. Martin was only 0.08 of a second.
Suaranya kedengaran nggak?
Those two were very much
Komen
the
ya.
cream of the crop in that Q2 session. Maverick Vinales, the Aprilia racing rider, winner in 3 Grand Prix classes here previously in Assen, including MotoGP back in 2019. Well, he was third on that front row, but over 0.3 of a second behind Martin. The 2 top riders in the championship, the 2 top riders on the grid as we begin to count down then for this TSO Sprint, the 8th edition in 2024. In the company of Matt Burr here in the commentary box with Lewis Sutherland sat alongside me, Simon Crayfar enjoying some glorious late June sunshine here in the Netherlands as Jorge Martin then, who at one time was
George Martin,
given, wasn't it? You could put your mortgage on him. Finishing on the podium at TSO Sprint, 13 successive TSO Sprints, but he hasn't seen a sprint podium, hasn't had a medal around his neck. That's since Le Mans, 4th he was in Catalonia, and then the big mistake crashing out of a safe 3rd place in Mugello, 4 weeks ago now. It's been a hectic period for Jorge Martin, as you mentioned, moving on to factory, a pretty team next year. The big conundrum, Lewis, the big question coming into this TSO Sprint, right on cue. There he is, the world champion has been in phenomenal nick all weekend. He has topped every single session so far. He looks an unbeatable force on paper at the moment.
Yeah, there are no such things as a foregone conclusion in MotoGP, but I did think that the Pecco Bagnaia pole position this morning was pretty close to it. But boy, did Jorge Martin run him close. 0.08 of a second between them in the end. Martin, though, wasn't looking particularly comfortable yesterday. Pecco Bagnaia looking as comfortable as we've seen him all season long. The momentum is firmly with the reigning world champion after his double win in Mugello off the back of that stunning win in that head-to-head with Martin in Barcelona. Can Bagnaia continue his charge towards potentially the World Championship lead when we go into the summer break? He won't take the points lead from Jorge Martin today, but he could potentially take another bite out of that 18-point advantage.
Untouchable he was in Mugello, led every lap of the sprint and the Grand Prix in front of his jubilant partisan home crowd. He's never actually had back-to-back
Bareng, guys.
victories as Pekka Bagnaia. So a challenge facing him coming up. At least Marc Marquez, after if you joined us this morning at the start of FP2, Marc Marquez ventured out on circuit. He was very eager to get on with business on the GP23 Ducati because he left pit lane this morning not missing one knee slider. He forgot to put both of them on this time around, though. There's no repeat of that mistake. Marc Marquez paid dearly at the end of that qualifying session this morning. A high-speed get-off for him going through turn 7 as he was aggressive on the inside of Aleix Espargaro. At that stage,
Yeah, ginobar
he
ni.
was secure on the second row, but inflicting some late punishment was none other than Aleix Espargaro, who was not particularly happy with the hard move Marquez put him at turn 7. Aleix Espargaro, heroic performance, battered and bruised to say the least after his crash at the Terima chicane yesterday. Lower back pain, neck pain, but Aleix Espargaro, a brilliant last lap of 1:31.077 put him 5th, and it did bump Marc Marquez onto the back of the head.
Pilih siapa nih? Pilih siapa?
Yeah, heroic performances and
Mas Angga.
kind of go hand in hand, don't they, over the years? He's had pole and 4, Yamaha here. Of course, he came from 9 in the back of the field to 4th with that last chicane move that we saw just at the start of the broadcast 2 years ago. And of course, he was on the podium here last year too. But he will be riding through clear pain this afternoon.
Saya pilih George Martin.
Alex Marquez, of course, there's been a little bit of drama over the course of the last 24 hours or so with Mark. He had a big save at Ramshoek yesterday, in addition to what we've already told you about that followed the 8 times world champion today. But Alex has been quietly going about his business, was 3rd quickest yesterday, and he out-qualifies his brother and teammate Mark for the 2nd time in 3 races.
Best qualifying in 9 since his Qatar front row at the tail end of the 2023 World Championship. 4th place, he was only 0.02 of a second away from a front row, denied by Maverick Vinales, the factory Aprilia rider. 5th front row in the opening 8 Grand Prix for the 29-year-old. His 5th front row start in his career here in Assen. No Grand Prix podium in the last 4 since that memorable win in Kota for Maverick Vinales. One of several big names on the move in 2025. In fact, 5 of our current top 6 in the MotoGP World Championship. It stands right now coming into this round 8. A couple of races before we head into a 3-week summer break. 5 of the top 6
Just
will be
Martin. Ini Bagnaia.
in 2025. In the present though, very much
Jagoan siapa nih? Jagoan siapa nih?
Pekka Bagnaia. He has been untouchable so far this weekend. That lap this morning, the 1:30.540, I'm not even sure he realised he had that in himself. It was a phenomenal performance. His first pole position in 10 Grand Prix, 9 of his previous 22 Grand Prix wins have come from pole position. And if he wins the Grand Prix here tomorrow, he will tie Casey Stoner, Ducati's Australian legend, in the all-time list of Ducati winners. It will be 23 wins for Pekka Bagnaia, which will put him on par with the great Stoner.
Pit lane is open then, 15 minutes to go to the start of this T-So sprint. You just saw a brief glimpse of Pedro Acosta there, who goes from 10th on the grid. KTMs haven't necessarily looked a match for the Ducatis nor the Aprilias so far this weekend. First KTM on the grid actually is Brad Binder in 9th, ahead of Acosta in 10th, who made his way to Q1 and having achieved that, then crashed at the very end of qualifying 1. Was fortunately able to go back out in qualifying 2 on that same bike, but the pace so hot. So 1:31.482 from Acosta. That would have been nigh on a lap record 12 months ago. As it is this year, it's only good enough for a place on the 4th row of the grid.
Well, how good was Bagnaia's lap this morning? It was 0.8 of a second quicker than his no all-time lap record set yesterday, which we thought was a pretty hot pace. A hot pace which has been too hot to handle for his MotoGP rivals so far here this weekend in the Netherlands. There is the first gear, the Struven corner. That caught out